margins. $700 billion. That's about a little over $7,000 per taxpayer, a little over $9,000 per household. Debt that we've saddled up with our kids and our grandkids. And that on top of the fact that the taxpayer already owed $9.788 trillion. $9,788,000,000,000 was the public debt before the $700 billion bailout. And that didn't include the $400 billion budget deficit that they'll likely run this year. The books closed out September 30. We really don't know what that number is yet, but it will probably be north of $400 billion. So that will bring the public debt to something over 11 trillion, 11.2 trillion. I think that was they raised the debt ceiling to 11.2 or 11.3 trillion with the passage of that $700 billion bailout. I mean, it's just an astronomical amount of money. And I'm confident we could have done this without. I mean, there's going to be some pain here. Don't get me wrong. You can't avoid, and it seems that's what they're trying to do here is to avoid pain. There's not going to be a way to avoid it. There is going to be some pain. But I think we could have got the economy running again and without this $700 billion bailout. For example, if you suspended capital gains tax for 2 years, it brings in for the government about $125 billion a year to $140 billion a year, somewhere in that neighborhood. So the most that could have cost you in 2 years would have been $250 billion. But it's not debt; it's just a decrease in taxes, letting people keep more of their own money. You could have a short-term amnesty window for repatriated capital. There's about $10 trillion that's outside the United States that's controlled by U.S. citizens. Some of it in the Turk and Caicos Islands, some of it in the Caymans, or some in Switzerland, offshore investments, wherever it is. If you had a short amnesty window, let them bring that capital home without paying taxes on it. Last time they did that, generated about $350 billion in capital. Take the lid off FDIC. They finally did agree to raise it to $250,000 per account, but you know, a bank pays premium on 100% of the deposits in the bank. So my attitude is, why should you cap the payout at $100,000? If you're paying premiums on 100%, then FDIC ought to cover 100%, and at least do that for a period of time where people have the comfortable feeling they're not running on the bank trying to, you know, move money around to make sure they're covered if the bank fails. Mark to market, it's an accounting principle that said they basically have to mark all their assets down to the lowest level that they've been sold, and rather than some realistic number. And that change alone would have saved a considerable amount of money. So I mean, there's a lot of things that could have been done here. It's not only $700 billion. They put another $157 billion worth of pork and goodies, and I mean everything from tax benefits for wooden arrow manufacturers. I mean, I read this list of the perks that they've stuck in there to try to get the bill passed, get enough votes for it. So I mean, it's a really bad idea.